upon us here assemble and grant and we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance peace, prosperity, and welfare of our county. For those interested, you are committed to our church. Amen. Clerk, confirm. Confirm whether we have quorum.
Honorable Speaker, there is quorum.
Order of business.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I wish to notify the House the following the adoption of the second selection committee on 6th March 2024 on the recomposition of the committee membership and upon direction given by the presiding speaker that the committee which had been affected by the changes made to undergo the election for the position of both the chairperson and the vice chairperson. Subsequently, a notice of election was issued on 19 March 2024. Honorable members, elections were held today, 28th of March 2024, and the following were elected as the chairperson and the vice chairperson. 1, Finance and Economic Planning. As the chairperson is Honorable CBA Paul Pirech. Welfare and Members Facilities, Honorable Julius Keter, the chairperson. Delegated County Legislation, Honorable Josephat Tarbey. Health and Sanitation, Honorable Ezra Rotich. 5th, Administration and Public Service, Honorable Emmanuel Kipchumba. 6th, Labor, Justice and Legal Affairs, Honorable Richard Pate. Pick and Pack, that's the 7th, Honorable Hassan Kagoni. 8, Sports and Youth Development, Honorable Silas Kogo. 9, Lands, Environment and Natural Resources, Honorable Silas Sum. And 10, Tourism, Culture and Social Services, Honorable Rubosa Kuto. Honorable members, we have also the advice in Finance and Economic Planning, Vice Chair, Honorable Josephat Pate. Welfare and Members Facility, Vice Chair, Honorable Sheila Chesang. Delegated County Legislation, Honorable Stanley Chepkemoi. Administration and Public Service, Honorable Bridget Songok. 6, Labor, Justice and Legal Affairs, Honorable Susan Cheptong. 7, Pick and Pack, Honorable Eliud Kirwa Mahindi. 8, Sports and Youth Development, Honorable Ann Pate. 9, Lands, Environment and Natural Resources, Honorable Lucy Chepkemei Tololei. 10, Tourism, Culture and Social Welfare, Honorable John Pitok. Okay, those were the changes that were made. The other chairman, I think the election there was no election in the other committees, and that one remains the way. We have the budget. We have also, in terms of the budget and trade, those committees was not available. So the others, these are all the changes that were made. Thank you, honorable members. I therefore wish the new elected members their best in their endeavors. Thank you, honorable members. Maybe I'll only give 2 to 3 members to make a comment, congratulatory message, and then we move with the order paper. Thank you, honorable members. One or two, if there is any, before we move to the next agenda and the order of business. Honorable Tarbe.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to take this opportunity, maybe, Chair, Honorable Speaker, to thank the members of my committee on delegated county legislation for having renewed my mandate as the chair for delegated legislation. Chair, it is in record that a while back, there was a bill that was redone having not been worked on. So as a chair for delegated county legislation, together with my vice, we want to commit that any legislations that will be passed in this house, we will do our due diligence to follow up that not even a comma of the same will not be amended, Mr. Speaker. I do also want to request that the various chairs and vice chairs who have been elected in various committees, that let this be a new beginning, that we discharge our mandate as the Honorable House and execute our 3 roles with due diligence. That's representation, oversight, and legislation. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the various members who have been given the mandate to continue with their roles. Let's serve this House, Mr. Speaker, because all of us took an oath that we will discharge our mandate according to the Constitution. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Chamala.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I cannot hide my happiness. My special appreciation goes to the Committee of Administration. I want to promise them that we shall work together. We shall join hands, and through advice, through prayers and guidance of this Honorable House, I shall deliver. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Honorable Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also rise to thank our Welfare Committee for giving me another opportunity so that I can lead them. For me, I will say I will work, and we shall continue working very closely as we have been doing so. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate our other able chairs that let us team up and work together, because our mission at the end of it all, it is to achieve, to do oversight, representation, and legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Silas Koko. Thank you, Honorable Silas Koko. Sangala Kiploni.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Allow me to convey my sincere appreciation to my committee that's on sports for re-electing me and giving me another chance so that we can work together in the sports department or sports committee. And I would like to urge all of us, let us give each and every member a maximum cooperation so that we can deliver as mandated by the standing orders and of this Honorable House. Just want to assure you that we are going to work together in each and every step that we undertake so that we see the sports department becoming much vibrant than the other time. And to wish all of us, the chairperson elected, the vice chairperson, and more so to my incoming vice chairperson, that's Honorable Bet and Tororei, welcome to this committee on sports so that we can see things move on. So thank you, and Honorable Chair, I want to urge this House that we have good things coming. So let us support each other so that we see this sports department grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Koko. And Honorable Koko, it is not the chair, it is the speaker. So we need to address the Honorable Speaker, it is not only about the chair. Honorable Maini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my committee members, Pick and Pack, for giving me another chance to be their vice chair. I think we will work together, improving the committee to deliver their mandate. And also for the members who are grieving, because this was give and take, we hope the next time you will be there. Don't worry. Thank you.
Maybe I'll only give majority to say a word, then we move to the next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity that I may also comment on the election that has taken off today, Honorable Speaker. And I wish also to congratulate all the chairs and vice chairs who have been elected in this very successful exercise, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to remind the chairmen and vice chairs of various committees that the committees in this house is the engine of the assembly. Whenever the chairman or the vice doesn't perform, it makes the business of this house, Honorable Speaker, to get jeopardized, Honorable Speaker. And I want to commend and tell the Honorable chairs who have been elected and vice chairs to support the committee to ensure that they keep time on some programs of this Honorable Speaker. We have some bills, Honorable Speaker, which has timelines. And if the same bill falls under your committee, Honorable Speaker, the said chairman must comply with the law, Honorable Speaker, so that we can meet the timelines on such bills, Honorable Speaker. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, we have also the statements, Honorable Speaker, which was sought by Honorable members. So now that we have the valid chairmen and vice chairs and the members of the committees, Honorable Speaker, I want to write the various committee was various statements in their table, Honorable Speaker, to dispense of, Honorable Speaker, so that the members of the public of Nandi, Honorable Speaker, can enjoy the services which are rendered by this great assembly, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, I want to congratulate all even the members who voted. You exercise your democratic right to ensure that you vote the chairman and or vice chair of your choice, Honorable Speaker. So we want to wish all the chairmen and vice chairs who have been elected, wish you well. You get all the support from the assembly leadership, led by the speaker, the deputy speaker, and majority leader, and all the leadership of the speaker. So we want to wish you well and tell you that we support every aspect so that we can get this house having the right services. Otherwise, congratulations again once more. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Majority. Honorable members, before we move to the next agenda, I know the chairman and the vice chairman take charge of your committees. And I think now we have been given an opportunity. I think this assembly will not be like a quorum because you are also in those committees, and we need to have business so that we can transact the business in the assembly. So when we wish you well as you begin this journey, let us work together and work with your committee so that we improve the service delivery in our county. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Honorable Kirongo, Leader of Minority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have 2 reports to table, Mr. Speaker. I wish to table the report on the County Assembly Service Board for the period between 1st January 2022 to 31st December 2022. Again, Mr. Speaker, I wish to table Nandi County Assembly Service Board report for the period between 1st January 2023 to 31st December 2023. I beg to table, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you, honorable members. I acknowledge the receipt of the report for Nandi County Assembly Service Board report for the period between 1st January 2023 to 31st December 2023. And the same will be circulated to the members. This is now the Public Service Board report, the County Assembly Service Board. Also, honorable members, I acknowledge also the receipt of the Nandi County Assembly Service Board report for the period between 1st January 2022 to 31st December 2022. All the same will be circulated to the members so that we'll have time to discuss on the same. Honorable Majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to table the physical development plan for Taptengele Trading Center, which was approved by the County Executive Committee by the minute number CC, that is 7th of February 2023, and if approved by this Assembly, Honorable Speaker, it will be forwarded to the National Director for Physical Planning for final verification. I beg to table.
Thank you, honorable members. That honorable majority when he was tabling the issue of Taptengele, that this one you can work in Taptengele. I think this is now the report. So, honorable members, I acknowledge the receipt of this Taptengele Trading Center local fiscal plan and use development plan, and this one we commit to the Committee of Lands, Committee on Lands and Natural Resources. Thank you, members. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, the Nandi County Textile Bill 2024, first reading. An act of County Assembly of Nandi to establish the County Textile Corporation for connected purposes.
I think, honorable members, you've had the Nandi County Textile Bill, first reading. I think that one is a tournament for trade. Next order.
Order number 9, the Nandi County Investment and Development Promotion Bill 2024, first reading. An act of County Assembly of Nandi to establish the Nandi County Investment and Development Corporation to provide for the establishment of a legal and institutional framework for promotion and cooperation of investment and development of the county government of Nandi and for connected purposes.
Thank you, honorable members. I think that one, the Nandi County Investment and Development Promotion Bill 2024, I think the same is still committed to the Committee on Trade and Investment. So the chair can continue with that. Next order.
Order number 10, motion.
Honorable Okori, the chairman Patchett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion on adoption of report of the County Budget and Appropriations Committee on the Nandi County Fiscal Strategy Paper, that is CFSP 2024, laid on the table of this House on the 27th March 2024. Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that provisions of Standing Order 209, subsection 6 decree that the County Assembly approval of the motion on the report of CFSP presented by the Budget Committee constitutes the County Assembly resolution setting forth the total overall projection revenues, the ceilings recommended of the county government and county assembly, and where necessary, and the total sums of each vote and the allocations to individual programs for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, as required under Article 223 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 135 of the PFM Act 2012, the public management, that is county government, Regulations 2015 and Standing Order 209, subsection 3, it is my pleasant privilege and pleasure to present to this House the committee's report on the county's fiscal strategy paper, CFSP 2024-2025. Committee's mandate. Honorable Speaker, the Select Committee on Budget and Appropriations Committee is one of the committees of Nandi County Assembly established under Standing Order 189, mandated to, among others, 1, to investigate, inquire into, and report on all matters related to coordination, control, and monitoring of the county budget. 2, discuss and review the county estimates and make recommendations to this House. 3, examine the county budget policy statement presented to the County Assembly. 4, examine bills related to county budget, including appropriations, and to evaluate tax estimates, economic and budgetary policies, and programs with direct budget outlays. Committee membership. Honorable Speaker, the members of the County Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee who examined and made recommendations on the CFSP 2024-25 were as follows. Number 1, Honorable Edwin Kipchumba Korir, that is the chairperson. Number 2, Honorable John Kiprotich Keter, vice chairperson. Number 3, Honorable Walter Kiblaga Teno, member. Number 4, Honorable Wilson Kipkirui Sang, member. Number 5, Honorable Trufosa Kuto, member. Number 6, Honorable Lucy Chepkemei, member. And number 7, Honorable Julius Kipruto Keter, member. Honorable Speaker, on the legal basis for preparation of the county fiscal strategy paper, Section 117 of the PFM Act 2012 requires a treasury to prepare a county fiscal strategy paper and submit it to the County Executive Committee for approval. The treasury shall then submit the approved fiscal strategy paper to the County Assembly by the 28th of each year. And therefore, I would like, Honorable Speaker and the House, the CCM in charge of finance did present the same on the 27th, meaning that they did comply in terms of timelines. This section provides further, as indicated below, to align county fiscal strategy paper with the national objectives in the budget policy statement. I believe you are all aware that these are timelines for the budget policy statements currently happening in the National Assembly. And 2, the county treasury is to specify the broad strategic priorities and policy goals that will guide the county government in preparing its budget for the coming financial year over the medium term. The county treasury shall include its county fiscal strategy paper, the financial outlook with respect to county government revenues, expenditures, borrowing for the coming financial year and over the medium term. The county treasury then to seek and take into account the views of the Commission on Revenue Allocation, the public, any interested persons or groups, and any other forum that is established by legislation. Not later than 14 days after submitting the CFSP to the County Assembly, then the County Assembly shall consider and adopt the same with or without amendments. Mr. Speaker, sir, on responsibility principles in the public financial management law, Honorable Speaker, in line with the Constitution, that is Section 107 of the PFM Act 2012, sets out the fiscal responsibility principles that to seek to ensure prudency and transparency in the management of the public resources. Additional principles on fiscal responsibility have been outlined on the same in Regulation of 25 of the Public Management County Governments Regulations 2015. Highlighted below is a summary of these key public finance principles as outlined by the section. There is that requirement on the fiscal responsibility that any other on development we are supposed to meet at least a minimum of 30%. And I believe we are all privy to the same. And on the issue of wage bill, it should be at least at 35%. So those are the regulations, the fiscal principal responsibility. Public participation. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Article 196, subsection 1B and 201A of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and as stipulated in Section 87, subsection 1A, B of the County Governments Act 2012, requires that the Assembly shall consider the views of the public in its legislative process. To satisfy these provisions, the County Assembly of Nandi placed adverts on the newspapers of the Wednesday, the 6th March 2024, inviting various stakeholders and general public to submit views in form of memoranda on 15th of March 2024 in respect to Nandi County Fiscal Strategy Paper of 2024-2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, given that this report, as it was tabled, we have actually ensured that the same is forwarded into our gadgets, and I believe all the honorable members are able to access the same. You will allow me, Honorable Speaker, to just pick the key highlights so that I can be able to move on and we'll be able to have that kind of discussion. Honorable Speaker, allow me to touch on the locally collected revenue. Honorable Speaker, the county revenue collection performance was not better than the previous years, that is in the 2021-2022, and in financial year 2022-2023. And that, we note that in the same, the local revenue was 207 million against the revised budget of 373 million. That is in the previous years. Now we have the comparisons, Honorable Speaker, on page 9, and the table clearly indicates we have the revenue source, that is the revenue line. We have the comparisons between the years 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, 2021-2022, and 2022-2023. Those are the comparisons. Honorable Speaker, local revenue collection as of 31st, 2023. That is the year just concluded. So we have on the months, we just, we picked the highlights on the months to just give the revenue trend. Honorable Speaker, we have the month that is from July, August, September, October. You will realize that in the first column, you will see in the year 2018-2019, the revenue collected in these months came to 65 million, and we have the figures there. On the financial year 2019-2020, there was an improvement of 79 million. And financial year 2020-2021 was 68 million. Financial year 2021-2022 came to 69 million. Financial year 2022-2023 was 54 million. And the year just concluded on the financial year of 23 was at 63,123,869. That is the revenue trend as per the previous years, Honorable Speaker. County expenditures for previous financial years, that is 2022-2023. Honorable Speaker, total expenditure was at 7,268,804,093 against revised expenditure estimates of Kenya shillings 7,783,488,405, representing an underspending of Kenya shillings 514 million, which is actually 6.62%. The overall absorption rate was at 93%, of which 95% was recurrent and 90% was on development. The total recurrent expenditure for the financial year 22-23 amounted to 5 billion, representing an underspending of 297 million. That is 5% deviation from the revised expenditure estimates of the 5.6 billion, while development expenditure amounted to 1.8 billion, representing underspending of 217 million, which is an underspending of 10% deviation from the approved development expenditure of 2,088,838,394. The underspending was generally attributed to delayed disbursement of equitable shareable revenue and the unmet target of the revised local revenue. Mr. Speaker, allow me go to the table on revenue resource envelope. Mr. Speaker, sir, remember for us to make allocations to various departments, it is very key and very important that we are considering all these resources based on the resource envelope. Mr. Speaker, sir, on page 12 of this report, you will realize that we have various columns. That is the code indicating the revenue line. We have the revenue items, and I can just quote an example. A revenue item is like, for example, land rates. So if we can pick one, land rates, in the financial years, allow me go to the financial year 23-24. On land rates, so far the collection was at, the resource proposed is actually 92,284,080 Kenya shillings. Now the proposal of the 24-25 on land rates is 96,898,284. So that is actually an outlook of the resource envelope, the Honorable Speaker. And we have various revenue items that are actually indicated in the same with their own allocation and their proposals. Mr. Speaker, sir, next in this report, the item I would want to indicate is actually on the baseline ceilings. Mr. Speaker, sir, ceilings for county departments will form the indicative baselines for the financial year 2024-2025 financial year's budget. In this CFSP, ceilings refer to employee cost, operations, and development estimates, The baseline estimates reflect the current ministerial spending levels in sector programs. Responsibility principles as outlined in the PFM law expect compensation of employees for the county overall expenditure to account for a maximum of 35%. Remember, as I can take you back, Honorable Speaker and the members, we did actually mention on the issue of the fiscal responsibility principle. That indicates the percentages. It caps the percentages on personal emoluments at 35%. Adhering to this principle may not be achieved as there are challenges which affect the county in realizing local revenue targets and continued recruitment to cover the cap on capacity, which has continually led to increase to the county wage bill. As we will be able to realize, Honorable Speaker, in the progressive provision of this report, you will be able to realize that we have a huge challenge as regards the wage bill, the recommended wage of 35%. So, Honorable Speaker, we now have the departmental, we have the base ceilings on the departments, and each department has been indicated as its own indication in terms of both recurrent expenditure, operating expenditure, and development expenditure. That will now eventually form the basis of the table that I'm going to go through, Honorable Speaker. With that, Honorable Speaker, I know we are cognizant of the departments that we have as a county government, and that notwithstanding, Honorable Speaker, allow me then now go to General Committee's recommendation, Mr. Speaker, observations. So, Honorable Speaker, as we progress, I would want to thank my committee members and the support from the office of the of your office and the Secretariat, Mr. Speaker, sir. We did sat and made these observations, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, the committee made the following general observation. One on personal emoluments. Honorable Speaker, regarding personal emoluments, the committee observed that CFSP 2024-25 has proposed Kenya shillings 4,722,085,727 as ceilings for the personal emoluments, representing 54.45% of the total expenditure. The wage bill is above the 35% threshold, which contravenes the section of 25 of PFM Act. A high wage bill, which accounted for 54.45% of the annual revenue of Kenya shillings. The annual estimated revenue is Kenya shillings 8,672,712,199, as indicated Kenya shillings that deters the county governments for implementing development projects. That is in reality, Honorable Speaker. 2, on development expenditure ceilings, Honorable Speaker, regarding development expenditure, the committee observed that CFSP has proposed Kenya shillings 2,152,867,299 as its ceilings, which represents 24.82% of the total expenditure. The development expenditure is below 30% threshold, which again contravenes Section 107 of PFM Act 2012, guideline on the county government fiscal responsibility principle. And number 3, on-source revenue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the underperformance of on-source revenue of Kenya shillings 207,882,797 against an annual projection of Kenya shillings 373,234,444 in the financial year of 22-23, which represented then 55.7% of the annual target. Further, the committee noted that there is a great disparity between the projected revenue collection, which is 515,557,531, and the actual collections of within the half year of 23-24 was actually at Kenya shillings 135,997,839 as per the first half year, which represents only 26.4% of the projected revenue. The CCM, in charge of finance and economic planning, has not explained how the 73.6% will be collected on the second half of the financial year, yet the financial year is almost coming to an end, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me then to finally go to committee's recommendations. Having gone through the same, Honorable Speaker, we realized that we were to give our firm, and I want to thank my committee members, that we all sat and gave the following recommendations, Honorable Speaker. On policy measures, Honorable Speaker, the committee urges this House to adopt this report with the following resolutions. That is, on policy measures. Number 1, that the county budgets should be fully implemented as approved by the County Assembly, Honorable Speaker. That is our first recommendation. Number 2, that the county attorney and the CCM in charge of finance and economic planning refuse the Nandi County Equitable Act 2023 to knock hindrances to implementation and propose necessary amendments to the county's for county assemblies implementation. Honorable Speaker, if you can remember, we had issues to do with the regulations as per the law with regards to education equitable scheme that is now called scheme. We actually urge and we realize that we need to recommend to this House so that I know we have a bill that we passed, that is Nandi County Equitable Act 2023. It is very important that we have a review of the same so that should we have challenges, we are going to be on safe hands so that you can be able to implement the same. Number 3, that the unrealistic revenue forecast contravenes Section 107, subsection 2G of PFM Act 2012 on reasonable degree of predictability. The CCM responsible for finance and economic planning should come up with practical and achievable local revenue targets by using scientific methods of revenue forecast. The county should address its revenue performance to ensure the approved budget is fully implemented. I know that is also another hindrance. When we don't meet on local revenue, it becomes a challenge, yet we have programs already budgeted. Number 4, the CCM should identify and address issues causing delays in implementing development projects. Number 5, under the county government fiscal responsibility principle, the committee noted that the CCM contravened Section 25 of PFM regulations by proposing 54.45% of the county government total revenue of the county government total revenue of financial year 2024-2025 be allocated for personal emoluments. Therefore, the committee recommends that the CCM should adhere to the 35% threshold ceiling for the wages and benefits as specified by the law. Further, the committee recommends that the County Public Service Board should establish an optimal staffing structure to ensure expenditure on personal emoluments complies with Regulation 25, subsection 1B of the PFM and County Government's Regulations 2015. Number 6, that the county government, upon adoption of this report, to source an independent institution to carry out special audit on Nandi County human resource. The audit is expected to reveal the true position of Nandi County Public Service, proper staff placement aimed at enhancing efficiency and integrity of the county human resource system, and to improve service delivery. The audit is also to conduct fiscal head count of all county government staff aimed at establishing the actual Nandi County staffing and the wage bill. Number 7, Honorable Speaker, the committee further noted that the CCM contravened Section 107, subsection 2B of the PFM Act by proposing 24.482% of the total budget on financial year 2024-2025 be allocated to development expenditure. It is therefore a resolution of this committee that CCM should adhere to the minimum of 30% of the county government's allocation on development expenditure as it is expressed in the law in budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025. And number 8, Mr. Speaker, county departments should always endeavor to avail requested documents on time to allow county assembly committees to effectively work within the planned timelines. Mr. Speaker, that has been an hindrance, and that is our strong recommendation that we have this if committees must be able to function in time. So that is our request. And the other recommendation on budgetary recommendations, Mr. Speaker, we did recommend as a committee that based on interventions and investments directed towards automation of revenue, the committee recommends a target of Kenya shillings 589,863,495 for on-source revenue, and this is inclusive of Facility Improvement Fund, that is FIF. Number 2, the committee recommends a total of not less than Kenya shillings 1 billion of the total development expenditure towards the word-based priorities that will form part of the budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025 and for implementation during the financial year 2024-2025 as per the Nandi County Equitable Development Act 2023, and the remaining development funds shall be for flagship projects and shall be distributed equitably within the county. Number 3, that personal emoluments for county executive be reduced by Kenya shillings 5 million. There is some changes that we have made and some amendments that we did, capturing the various departments. This was actually to indicate, because we realized that there was a development proposal of 40 million in terms of county development. That is to do with the new county assembly, and we realized that that might not be enough, so we've sourced. So that's why we are making those changes. That personal emoluments under finance and economic planning be reduced by Kenya shillings 10 million. That personal emoluments for administration, public service, and e-government be reduced by Kenya shillings 5 million. And that 6, personal emoluments for health and sanitation be reduced by Kenya shillings 30 million. And 7, that personal emoluments for agriculture and cooperative development be reduced by Kenya shillings 10 million. 8, that personal emoluments for lands, environment, natural resources, and climate change be reduced by Kenya shillings 3 million. 9, that personal emoluments for education and vocational training be reduced by Kenya shillings 10 million. And that 10, the personal emoluments for transport, public works, and infrastructure development be reduced by Kenya shillings 2 million. Number 11, that development expenditure for county assembly therefore be increased by Kenya shillings 75 million. 12, that a total of Kenya shillings 8,672,712 and 199 is hereby proposed for the committee as expenditure for the financial year 2024-2025, having taken into considerations Kenya shillings 7,421,327,940 being equitable share, and Kenya shillings 661,522,764 as conditional and unconditional allocations and grants for both national and development partners. And lastly, Kenya shillings 589 million as the county own source revenue as shown in the table below. Honorable Speaker, having highlighted the same, we have the table indicating various revenue items and in the previous years, so we'll have that indicated. and that of the development partners. So we have quite a number. If you can be able to check, honorable members, it's actually in the table. And Mr. Speaker, on the proposal, the last recommendation, that is number 13, that the table below is a summary of the recommended developmental ceilings for the financial year 2024-2025. So we have the departmental ceilings, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have, with the proposed reductions on expenditures, you will realize that it will push up. We did, having given that recommendation having given the recommendation on the audit, I know it should be able to address the same in terms of personal emoluments, but we did add the reductions, and we will now move the proposal from the first table. The proposed recurrent total expenditure comes to 6.5 billion, but with the recommendations and reductions, we propose that the same be reduced to 6.4 billion. So that means that we'll move that from 75 allocation percentage-wise to 74.31%. And when it comes to proposed development total expenditure, we moved from 24.82%, and it will now move, having reduced that, it will move to 25.69%. Mr. Speaker, sir, if indeed that is done, and a lot more is done on the issues of personal emoluments, then we should be able to ensure that we have recommended that let there be an adherence of 30% development and 35% on that. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is so far what we have done, and on the approval, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the undersigned, we had all the members signed with the undersigned members of the County Budget and Appropriations Committee do affirm, this is an affirmation of the members of the committee, that the approved report was actually done, and we have the names. All the members did appended their signatures, having approved the report. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, and attached again to the same report are the minutes of the adoption of the same report, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I request one of us to second, I wish to request honorable members that we do adopt this report so that we can be able to move on. But take note of the recommendations that we gave as a committee. Remember, we have an issue to do with wage bill. And I know we have had several deliberations to do with the same wage bill, and so that we can be able to ensure that we move up the percentage. The legal framework states that we really need to have 30% at least. So we have a big problem to do with wage bill, and we need to request this House that much as we move into adopting the same report, let us all work together to ensure that we are reducing the wage bill. Otherwise, I wish to request this House that we adopt the same, and I know we still have enough time as we work on the estimates in the next few weeks. Otherwise, may I now request the Honorable Julius Keter to second the motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and also member who also have second. Now, honorable members, I now propose that this House adopt the report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the Nandi County Fiscal Strategy Paper, CFSP 2024, laid on the table of this House on 27 March 2024, be discussed. Honorable members, the floor is open for you to discuss the said report. Honorable Birech, and I'm requesting honorable members because you know at times we might not know whether you are putting off your mind or you are just there.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to hear my views on this proposed CFSP for the next financial year. Honorable Speaker, as I support, we should be very strict on the recommendations made by the committee. As we can see, all of us, honorable members, we are really dealing with a very plotted and unrealistic CFSP. And I should thank the budget committee for making strict recommendations so that we adhere to what the BFM Act says on matters of expenditures, on emoluments, and expenditure on development. Honorable Speaker, I would have wished actually the Budget Committee makes strict recommendation on budgetary allocations. I have seen a good number of strict recommendations, budgetary recommendations on allocations and cutting the spending. Honorable Speaker, because this is the CFSP for the next financial year, and you want to be very strict on what the BFM Act says, for us to reduce the personal emoluments to 35%, I would expected the Budget Committee to cut the ceilings of personal emoluments by 1.6 billion, 886 million, 635. For us to strictly adhere to 35% requirements by the BFM Act, Honorable Speaker, the personal emoluments should be cut by 1.6 billion, 806,635. Those are the recommendations I'm making on budgetary allocations. Number two, Honorable Speaker, for us to achieve the development budget of at least 30%. Honorable Speaker, the proposed ceilings are under-allocated by 448 million, 946, 360, Honorable Speaker. Development, I'm talking of development, is under by 448 million, 946,360. And I think the Budget Committee needs to strictly capture those recommendations on this report so that we adhere strictly to what the BFM Act says. Honorable Speaker, I applaud the recommendations on audit of our payroll. This, Honorable Speaker, will allow us to cut these spendings and get money for the development. And therefore, I would really want to appreciate, because I have looked at the recommendations by the committee, which is quite good, and I would request that, if possible, such factors that we have raised will be reconsidered. Otherwise, thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance. Thank you.
Members, the floor is open for members to contribute on the same. Honorable Isaiah Minor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me start off by saying that, or by thanking the Committee on Budget for rising up to the occasion and making some far-reaching recommendations. Particularly so, the recommendation to audit the workforce or the payroll. This is laudable and something that I would really like to associate myself with. However, Honorable Speaker, I find it difficult to marry the recommendations and the final figures, because I see that we as a House will recommend 30%. And when we approve, or rather the committee is recommending to us to agree with them that the provisions of the law should be strictly adhered to. So if indeed we are going to have 30% development and have personal emoluments being capped at 35. It's the recommendation. Unless this is a progressive, unless what we mean is that it will be progressively achieved, then I do not know whether the Honorable Chair is saying to us that immediately it's going to be 35% capped as per the recommendation, or it's going to be progressively attained probably in the next 5 years, or maybe never attained. So what is the House recommending? Is it that now we are giving them a blank check of more than 35? And I have not understood why the committee decided that they will not show the percentage of the personal emoluments as a standalone. They decided to have it as recurrent, 75%, put together, so that we cannot see, or anybody cannot see just by looking, that personal emoluments are actually more than 50%. I think that should be very clear. So it is hidden there, and anybody looking at it would miss that it is 50.50 something percent. And so this House is recommending it to be 35 and keeping it at 50. We are recommending 35 and we are keeping it at 50. We are speaking with two tongues. 35 and 50. Which one is it? So that's an issue I have, but otherwise I really agree with the recommendations. My trouble is on the final table, which shows that we are remaining in the same place. And so that when we pass, we will adopt the report, and the county treasury will be happy all the way to the bank and continue. So probably it would have been good to time it and say maybe by this time. So I find that report failed us in that area. Secondly, and almost finally, Honorable Speaker, I noticed that the committee has also recommended some reductions. I have tried to look at the report with a view of finding the basis. How is it that they decided that personal emoluments in education should be reduced by 10 million, for instance? And what does personal emoluments mean? What does it refer to? Is it the salary? Or is it allowances? I am concerned when I see personal emoluments being reduced in education, because I fear that our ECD teachers, who are already pressed so hard, that this House might actually be recommending a pay cut. And I would like the committee, when they probably be answering, how did they arrive at these arbitrary figures? I call them arbitrary because I have looked at the report and I cannot see whether they used any scientific method. They are recommending to the CEC Treasury. How did they arrive at 5 million for executive? And this, how, considering that personal emoluments are protected by law, is this House recommending a pay cut for those so-called workers, I find this one to be a treacherous path. So maybe the chair will explain at some point when they will be making a reply, or maybe they could explain to the House now how they did that. So those are the three issues. I find that we are recommending one thing, and we want to pass a different thing, which I do not agree with. I find that we are proposing a reduction under education, where our ECD teachers are already having problems. And I find that generally the reductions in personal emoluments are not based on anything that I can use to satisfy myself. So with those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I believe that something more could be done to make this report a little bit more better than it is right now. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Maina. I think the chair, Paget, could you explain and answer those questions that are asked by the Honorable Maina?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to respond as we proceed to respond to concerns raised by Honorable Maina. Honorable Maina, we as a committee, as we sit down, we actually do a lot of analysis. We don't just give arbitrary figures. Honorable Maina, we did an analysis and compared the previous financial years. Honorable Maina, I hope you are getting me. We did compare, Honorable Speaker, the previous financial year's CFSP, that was 2023-2024, and compared it with what we have at hand, 2024-2025. Now, I checked, and there was, Honorable Speaker, an improvement of the CFSP in terms of figures and in terms of personal emoluments of close to R1 billion shillings in that financial year. Now, for us to arrive at these figures, Honorable Speaker, we were checking on departments based on the increment, so that we would be able to arrive at, let's say, 30 million in terms of health, as opposed to 3 million in terms of maybe education. So we were able to match and see, because what is it that a department wants to increase the employees? And remember, Honorable Speaker, personal emoluments would like to inform the members. Personal emoluments are actually basically salaries, inclusive of DSS, and anything, benefits derived from the works. So this forms what we call personal emoluments estimates, and having checked with an improvement of about 1 billion within that financial year, we considered each and every department so that we can be able to see. Like, for example, there is an increment, a proposed increment on personal emolument under health and sanitation of close to 350 million shillings. That's why we said we are going to take away 30 million shillings. Number two, again, you see with the numbers, this is actually the sad reality, Honorable Speaker, that our wage bill is actually so high. These are employees already in place. And this House, we are giving recommendations that we now need to support as a House, that we tighten these regulations, these recommendations, so that we have this workforce a little bit reduced to the required percentages as per the law. So I believe this is actually for an understanding, and it is very key. We just really considered and did an analysis to ensure that we have all those, and of course having consulted again with the concerned departments. So I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Maina.
Thank you very much.
I think that is what, yes.
I would just, in fact, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Chair has even now clarified the issue and made it worse. Because here is a situation whereby you find an additional request for 300 million in a particular department. Then you proceed to think that 30 million is the one that is problematic, in quotes, and 270 is okay. That's my supposition. Because you put here and said, we are taking away 30 million, we think maybe 270 was okay. And my question is, what was the support from that department? What did they say they required these 300 million for? You go and look at education. I am particularly interested with education because I know the teachers in ECD centers are suffering. For any personal emoluments to be reduced in that area, that is a very dangerous thing. So, Honorable Speaker, 300 million, you take away 30 million, and you remain with 270, and you don't explain to the House how you arrived at that 30 million and left 270, and you ask me to support. So how do I do it?
Honorable Chair, I will compile it before you give the right of reply. Those are the questions that you will answer. What Honorable Shang or Honorable Maina? Honorable Matata, Kapsapa, what?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Yeah. And mine first, I want to thank the committee because they have dealt with this document and they have done their job as required. Honorable Speaker, it is actually embarrassing, Honorable Speaker, that as the committee sat, they have actually indicated that there is contravention of the law. And for that, Honorable Speaker, to me, already the document before us is illegal. Because if the CCM Finance has actually given a blind eye to the law, so we cannot just sit here and oversee the CCM Finance breaking the law. Honorable Speaker, I want to go to the committee recommendations. The recommendation number 1, that the county budget should be fully implemented as approved by the county assembly. Honorable Speaker, this statement surely tells us that the county budgets are not being implemented as approved, because that the county attorney and the CCM responsible for finance and economic planning reviews the County Equitable Act. The County Equitable Act is the act that gives lives to the ward fund, if I'm not wrong. So, currently, we are dealing with the CFSP, and in our recommendation, Honorable Speaker, we are quoting an act that we are really looking forward for its implementation in the next 3 months. Are we really seeing that? Because if the county attorney, because the chair has noted that the Nandi County Equitable Act 2023 to knock hindrances to implementation and propose necessary amendments for the county assembly consideration. I think, Honorable Speaker, with these documents, it has the ceilings for the act, which is very soon it will be operational. So, what are some of these hindrances that the committee have foreseen? What are some of these hindrances? That the unrealistic revenue forecast contravene Section 1072G of the PFM Act 2012, an unreasonable degree of predictability. Honorable Speaker, I think, but I'm not thinking, I suggest that the committee ought to have given us the realistic figures on revenue collection. because it is them that have stated that unrealistic. So before you came to this word unrealistic, what figures did you use? Honorable Speaker, the fourth recommendation, the CCM should identify and address issues causing delays in implementation of development projects. So is it that we already know that there are delays in the implementation of projects? Honorable Speaker, it is my request that the chair budget should have given us also the increment in terms of personal emoluments. As said by my colleague, the member from Lesos, is that personal emoluments are protected by the law. And you have gone further, and annually, practically annually, we have increments in terms of personal emoluments. But the committee has gone further to deduct some amount in the various departments as suggested by my friend. Honorable Speaker, I think the honorable thing that the committee ought to have done is just to bring an amendment, and we cap personal emolument according to the law, 35%. I think that should have been the best thing, because we cannot be a house that we are mandated to legislate and oversee the implementation and oversight the implementation of the various laws. And then we are here seated discussing a document that is illegal. I'm not member of the committee, but the recommendations are very clear, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the second issue is about the 30% development. It is good that the committee has shown us that, according to the document here, the 30% that is stipulated by the law is actually has been reduced to 24%. Does it mean that we have an efficient Department of Finance? That they cannot, the baseline of all this should be the law. Things that are clearly stipulated by the law. Honorable Speaker, I'm happy with the sixth recommendation that the county government, upon adoption of this report, to source an independent institution to carry out special audit on Nandi County human resource. The only issue here, Mr. Speaker, I think the Honorable Committee of Budget should have actually recommended the firms to carry out the audit, so that we don't have cartels coming in to hijack the process. Honorable Speaker, this House is aware that last year there was a vetting process that was done on the Nandi County employees. The wage bill then is not what we are being given here. It was even more, it was down. But after the vetting process, we are also finding ourselves in a mess. So I think the Honorable Committee, because we have very perfect and efficient firms that carry out audit. So the committee has just left a window for cartels to take over the process again. Because if we don't recommend as an assembly and give options to the audit firms that are there, that are known of doing good jobs, I think this process, we might also find ourselves where we are. Because if you can remember the vetting process that took around 6 months in Kaimosi, made the situation more worse than where we were. It made the situation more worse. So I am of the opinion that this House ring-fence the firms that should be contracted to carry out the audit of the Nandi County employees. We should ring-fence and give options so that we solve these problems once and for all. So, Mr. Speaker, in my opinion, this document, despite the legal timelines, the committee should actually have recommended that we shoot down this document. But because of the legal timelines by the law, we have just to approve it, but we can also bring some amendments so that we ring-fence these things. You have the recommendations. How sure are we that the recommendations will be implemented? How sure are we? The chairman budget here, since we came here, he has been giving recommendations to the committee all through, but have they been implemented? So how sure are we also that these recommendations on the various items as per the committee will be implemented? So that is an issue that, honorable members, we need actually to look upon, so that we don't sit here, we pass a document that is already contravening the law, and then we find ourselves in more messes than what is here. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rest my case.
Thank you, Honorable Matata. Honorable Mosby, then Honorable Milga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I also take this opportunity to thank the committee for budget for the piece of work that they've done. So I support this, Mr. Speaker. And as you can realize, our debate revolves around the recommendations made by the committee. Indeed, all of us are in agreement, Mr. Speaker, that the CFSP, as it was brought to the House, is largely unacceptable. But to save the situation, these recommendations have come in handy. Honorable member from Tindret, in his opening, or rather in his remarks, or in his submission, he gave some very good recommendations, which, Mr. Speaker, I thought they could be captured under. In fact, I thought the honorable member was moving an amendment so that the beautiful suggestions that he had could be captured here. My worry again is, Mr. Speaker, the committee has cherry-picked departments where the funding could be slashed. I realize that the amounts that they are trying to come up with is equivalent to 75 million. And then the whole 75 million is brought into the assembly. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at this and I'm like, are we sure that when we remove, say, 10 million from education, we remove 30 million from health,
which is bedeviled with a lot of problems, Mr. Speaker, shall they be in a position really to carry out their mandate that is stated in the law? So, Mr. Speaker, it is my concern also that the ballooning wage bill, the wage bill which is running away in comparison to the development, is untenable. So that my proposal, Mr. Speaker, is that we can get that the committee can get an in-depth advice even from the speakers, or rather from an expert from whatever source, so that the recommendations that we come up here with are actually going to save the situation. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I look at what shall eventually come to the Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, I know we are working towards financial autonomy of the Assembly. And going forward, and again the coming in of Nandi County Equitable Development Act, the way this CFSP is prepared, it is actually prepared towards ensuring, or rather making the Popular Ward Development Fund not to take off at all. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the report, but I would wish that these recommendations could be furnished further, so that even an amendment can be introduced given time, so that whatever we are going to suggest are going to be up to date, especially with the needs of the Nandi people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Moswe. Honorable Milka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance. I think this document, we had it for a week since it was tabled. And I know everyone has gone through it. My worry is, I have seen members saying that we have some amendment. Sometimes we support it. But to me, according to the timeline of the budget line, we are going to be late. And if there is something we are waiting for, we will be delayed by all these messes we are talking about. If you knew that there is an amendment, there is a way of doing it. And we could have done already. So if we now say that this thing has some mistakes or whatever, everything will be late. And with me, I'd like to say the chair and the committee, I truly support this document. Thank you very much.
Honorable Tarbe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the adoption of this report by the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the fiscal strategy paper. And as I support, Honorable Speaker, allow me to congratulate our EPO chair, that is the MCA for Kapsimato. And Mr. Speaker, I think when he was taking us through the report, Mr. Speaker, you know, for an honorable member, you are kind of somehow tempted to rest your eyes. But I want to thank the honorable members that they couldn't rest their eyes, because this is a serious document, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, for me, Mr. Speaker, and my MCA knows this, unlike maybe my friend, the honorable member for Kilibwani, whose grandfather was a mayor in this town. My grandfather was an upper list, Mr. Speaker, and when you are an upper list and you are sick, Mr. Speaker, there were options of taking the medicine. And because you are sick altogether, Mr. Speaker, you had no option but to take the medicine. So when I had the discussion taking place, Mr. Speaker, there is a common denominator that we are finding ourselves in a quagmire, Mr. Speaker, that the wage bill is 54.5. And Mr. Speaker, when members were giving their suggestions, the committee even trying to slash some money from various departments. But we cannot arrive at a given solution because all the departments are very important, Mr. Speaker, because you try to attack the education department. The honorable member for Lesotho is saying they are ECT theirs. You try to touch from the hospital, our nurses and doctors, as we speak, countrywide, are in strike because they want to be properly remunerated, Mr. Speaker. But we find ourselves in a problem. And the department has suggested a solution that we hire a reputable firm to address the root cause, Mr. Speaker, because we cannot address this problem by beating around the bush, Mr. Speaker. Unless we deal with the root cause, which is the balloon wage bill, we cannot move, Mr. Speaker, because a mess has already been done. So I want to suggest we adopt this report with that recommendation, and we hope the relevant committees. That's why today we have new members, maybe members, chairmen, to work in their respective committees. One of the committees whom we will be relying, Mr. Speaker, because if we cry foul and say, what do we do now? And yet we have committees, Mr. Speaker, like the implementation committee. If we have a recommendation, for example, that we have said that the county executive do hire a reputable firm to do the audit of the payroll, Mr. Speaker, that doesn't require a miracle. It is just the implementation committee to do a tracking of the same. We have motion trackers, we have statement trackers. So we should not just sit and cry and say, what do we do, Mr. Speaker? Yet we have solutions. That's why we are elected and nominated to be in this house. And we have been placed to respective committee. Mr. Speaker, if I was given an opportunity to go to the budget committee, I could not do more than, because we have a professional who wants a panga. He understands how to dissect this thing, Mr. Speaker. And he has dissected it for us, Mr. Speaker. And he has given us recommendations. So I don't see anything difficult with this, Mr. Speaker. They have shown us that where the problem is. They have made recommendations. So for me, I think we should adopt, because work needs to be done. And someone has to do it, Mr. Speaker. And they have placed a recommendation. So I want to say we adopt this report, address the root cause, which is the balloon wage bill, the executive to do a proper, and we know where the problem exactly lies, Mr. Speaker. We should not lie to ourselves. So I want to congratulate the chair for a wonderful job well done. Let's adopt this report. And Mr. Speaker, everything will be okay. Like, Honorable Speaker, if these recommendations are taken seriously, I believe we'll find a solution. When the issue of county assembly was mentioned, Mr. Speaker, why some of the committees are failing? Like this morning, someone who was keen, an exercise which would have been done within 30 minutes, we had to wait for one committee after another to use one committee room, Mr. Speaker. So I don't see any mess when we want to complete our beautiful county assembly, so that we have various committee rooms, so that we don't have to wait for health committees to be waiting for education committee to finish their committee meeting in one committee room for the other to be done. So I believe even the committee is doing justice, because without an effective assembly, Mr. Speaker, we cannot work. You see, this morning we had a critical exercise. They started, I don't know, with the finance committee. By the time they reached maybe the labor committee, it was too late, because we are just waiting for one committee room. So now that the chair has realized that the problem, and we have said a committee is a workshop for this county assembly, Mr. Speaker. Without the committee, the executive will do whatever they want to do. But with our inactive committee, something will be done. So the committee is sourcing around 75 million to ensure that we complete our state-of-the-art county assembly so that we have rooms for over almost 30 committees which we have in this honorable house, Mr. Speaker. It means work will be done in this county, and they have given it a priority. That's why I don't want it to go in public that we are kind of selfish. But we want to address the root cause. We have active committees working from health, education, and Mr. Speaker, I believe service delivery will be done, and justice will be done to the people of Nandi. So I support the adoption of this report. And as I committed, Mr. Speaker, with this report, for us as a delegated county legislation, Mr. Speaker, will be keen. Our eyes will be always open that not even a comma will be deleted, Mr. Speaker, because we want this budget to be implemented as recommended, Mr. Speaker, by this honorable house, because the legislative power of this assembly is vested in the county assembly. The executive have given us a recommendation. The budget committee has worked on various amendments. They have made their recommendation and proposal, and together with the implementation committee, the Legal and Justice and Affairs Committee and the Delegated Committee will follow, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that things are done properly. I know some errors could have been committed back there, but Mr. Speaker, it's high time that even this honorable house rise to the occasion and do their work, Mr. Speaker. So I support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tarbe. Honorable Gagoni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute. Allow me to thank the Chair and the Committee of Budget for a job well done on the CSP report. Honorable Speaker, Section 25 of the PFM Act is the Bible of the finance. And I think Chair realized that the Act gives recommendations what should be followed when you're doing the budget-making process. Before I go to the recommendations, Honorable Speaker, I was really perplexed on the comparison of the own-source revenue. Honorable Speaker, in 2018, on just land rates, on 2018, the government was able to collect about 24 million. And then in 2022, it went down to 4 million. So I don't know, did we lose land as Nandi County or what happened? How did we lose money on land rates? And yet we're not losing land. So I think we have challenges of an on-source revenue that we need to tackle. And automations, which is part of the recommendations of the committee, is going to do this. So I think the Department of Finance needs to pull up their socks. Executive need to pull up their socks so that the locally collected revenue can go up, and this will increase the monies that we have in the county that will work on this. Honorable Speaker, this document is the backbone of the budget. This sets the foundation on where the budget will be. And the Chair, I have to thank you because you actually followed what the Section 25 of the PFN Act stated as you came up with recommendations with your committee. If we don't get this right, our development trajectory is going to be stagnant or stand still. And the monster in the room is what everybody, honorable members, are talking about, which is the wage bill. And the recommendations of your committee of doing a special audit. Because I'm chair of Pick and Pack, I would have recommended we do a forensic audit so that we go down to the nitty-gritty on what the issues are. And before we continue, there's a budget coming up in 2-3 months. So maybe we could have given the timeline on how long this special audit or forensic audit will take. A timeline of even 1 month. So that before we come to sit down on the budget, the forensic or the special audit will be completed and we'll have the document here so that we can add muscles to what your reduction was on the monuments on each department. And honorable members, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. We either have to choose monuments or we have to choose development. You cannot have both. Everybody wants to employ people, and all these people who are getting these emoluments are the people of Nandi County. But we have to decide as a house, making hard decisions on where we need to go. Should we continue this trajectory, then the development is going to suffer. You cannot have both ways. So the recommendations of special audit is good. Myself would have gone for a forensic audit, but I think we need to give them a timeline on when this needs to be done. And Honorable Speaker, I think that it should be done before we come and sit down in the budget. Thank you very much. I support.
Thank you, Honorable Kagoni. Honorable Member, I don't know whether we still have Honorable Susan. Maybe you can have 2 to 3 members so that we can give Honorable Korir a right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the motion on adoption of CFSP. Let me congratulate the committee for this report. This is a very good report. It shows the kind of brains we have in this house. Congratulations. The part that really amazes me is page 14 of this report. This shows that you've allocated good amounts to some large flagship and projects that already very good money has been put. I can see projects like Kabiet Dairies, Nandi Textiles, and a good number of them. These are projects that already have taken millions of money from the past budgets. And if they are completed, it will bring back the money that will help in building other projects in Nandi County. I can see also that it focuses on priority areas like the health services, early childhood development, vocational training. As we know that currently we really have a problem with our youth. Most of them idle around. And as we make these vocational training centers operational, it will open ways for our youth to get some skills and be able to depend on themselves. We see like when time of campaign comes, we have a lot of them following you all over. So here I can see also in agriculture, they've allocated some good amounts. I think this is good for Nandi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the documents.
Thank you, Honorable Susan. Maybe before I give the mover the right of reply, the leader of majority, if you have any comment on the said document.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support our chairman, Honorable Speaker, who I think when coming up with this report, Honorable Speaker, we supported him, Honorable Speaker, so that he can come up with the right recommendation, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, the way Honorable members have raised, I also agree that, Honorable Speaker, there is some, especially the challenge that was raised by Honorable members on the wage bill, Honorable Speaker. It has been a really serious issue, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is now the work of the whole Assembly, Honorable Speaker, to look into a way, Honorable Speaker, of reducing the wage bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when the chairman raised this point, Honorable Speaker, that we have an independent institution, Honorable Speaker, that is under recommendation number 6, Honorable Speaker, that the county government, upon adoption of this report, to source an independent institution to carry out a special audit on Nandi County human resource. The audit is expected to reveal the true position on Nandi County public service, proper staff placement, aim at enhancing efficiency and integrity of the county human resource system, and improve the service delivery. The audit is also to conduct physical headcount of all county government staff, aimed to establishing the actual Nandi County staffing and wage bill, Honorable Speaker. This, Honorable Speaker, is a very crucial recommendation, Honorable Speaker, and I want to laud the chairman, Honorable Speaker, because when we say an independent institution, Honorable Speaker, it means that we have to get an independent, Honorable Speaker, which will work to ensure that we get the right wage bill, Honorable Speaker, in this county of Nandi, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, we could not actually write that we need, let's say, for example, the way Honorable Chairman for Finance has said, Honorable Speaker, that we may write specifically that till late and touch, Honorable Speaker, for instance, Honorable Speaker, because you know the same process, Honorable Speaker, will undergo a tendering program, Honorable Speaker, so that we can get the right person, Honorable Speaker. And you know, in tendering procedure, Honorable Speaker, as the committee, we could not actually express that we need such a kind of Honorable Speaker. So we have only indicated that we need an independent institution, Honorable Speaker. So I think that was a very crucial recommendation, Honorable Speaker. Number two, Honorable Speaker, is recommendation number 2, that the county attorney and the CCM responsible for finance and economic planning to review the Nandi County Equitable Act 2023 and to, so that to knock hindrances to implementation of and proper necessary amendments for the county assembly consideration, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have the chairman for finance, Honorable Speaker. We know there might be some of the hindrances, Honorable Speaker, that will affect the Nandi Equitable revenue, Nandi actually County Equitable Act, Honorable Speaker, 2023, which we passed in this House, Honorable Speaker. So it is now the work of the CC Finance to come up with the right legislation, Honorable Speaker, that will allow the same act, Honorable Speaker, to kick off, Honorable Speaker, in June, Honorable Speaker. You know, this is a first act in this County Assembly of Nandi, Honorable Speaker. And the way Chairman has indicated in this report, that is recommendation number 2, Honorable Speaker, he has indicated clearly that if there is any hindrance which may affect the Nandi County Equitable Act, Honorable Speaker, this is now the point. Before we receive the budget, that is on 30th April, Honorable Speaker, that's next month. The CC Finance should have come up with all those issues, Honorable Speaker, the bottlenecks, which will affect the Act, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I like what also, again, the chairman, and I want to laud chairman on his, Honorable Speaker, that he indicated very well, Honorable Speaker, that under recommendation number 2, Honorable Speaker, in that on budgetary recommendation, he indicated clearly that the committee recommends a total of not less than Kenya shillings 1,201,678,415 of the total development expenditure towards that's towards what-based priorities that will form part of the budgetary estimates for financial year 2024-2025, and for implementation during the financial year 2024-2025 as per the Nandi County Equitable Development Act, that is of 2023. And the remaining development, Honorable Speaker, the remaining development funds shall be for the flagship projects, Honorable Speaker. So the chairman has indicated clearly that after tallying all the amounts that was allocated to all the wards across the county for ward development fund, Honorable Speaker, let's say for Honorable Jamal and Kilibwani wards, Honorable Speaker, is let's say 42 million. Kabiet, for example, is 38.5 million, Honorable Speaker. We added all the amounts of all the wards, Honorable Speaker, and we found that it tallies to 1.2 billion, Honorable Speaker, and it is indicated clearly, Honorable Speaker. So that, Honorable Speaker, when the budget will come to this House, that is on 30th April, Honorable Speaker, the first thing we will see, Honorable Speaker, every member will see and check whether all the projects that indicated in the ADP, that's Annual Development Plan, Honorable Speaker, has been captured, Honorable Speaker. And number 2, Honorable Speaker, I like what Honorable Minor said, that maybe you have cut maybe, let's say, 5 million in a certain department, Honorable Speaker. Which parameters did you use, Honorable Speaker? So I support, Honorable Speaker, that idea, Honorable Speaker, but when you check, even understanding, Honorable Speaker, the work of the CMSP, Honorable Speaker, is a work of the all members of this House, Honorable Speaker, and especially the chairmen of all the committees, Honorable Speaker. When you look at the understanding of the number, let's say number 210, Honorable Speaker. Let's say not 209, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it reads that the county treasury shall submit the county fiscal strategy paper approved by the county executive committee in accordance with section 117 of the Public Finance Management Act, Honorable Speaker. And when you read under that is number 4, Honorable Speaker, that is 2094. In considering the county fiscal strategy paper, the Budget and Appropriation Committee shall consult each sectoral committee and table a report containing its recommendation on the statement to the County Assembly for consideration, Honorable Speaker. The report prepared by the Budget and Appropriation Committee, pursuant to paragraph 4, shall include a schedule of ceiling of resources recommended for the county government and county assembly. Honorable Speaker, in the recommendation, Honorable Speaker, you must indicate the ceiling. There is no way you can pass this CFSP, Honorable Speaker, without a ceiling. And when we say, let's say we reduce 5 million from a department, Honorable Speaker, it shows that the chairman has given a direction to, let's say, CC Finance to look away of reducing 5 million or 10 million from a certain department, Honorable Speaker. It doesn't mean it will reduce the salaries, Honorable Speaker, for a staff or a department, Honorable Speaker. It gives an indication that because chairman has allocated 5 million, we want to reduce this 5 million to 2 million so that they can go and sit. Let them give with recommendation, Honorable Speaker. If they feel that the assembly has not made the right decision, Honorable Speaker, they can send a memorandum, Honorable Speaker, to this house, saying that we cannot cut 5 million because of such and such reason, Honorable Speaker. So they still have the room to give the memorandum, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, again in the standing order, Honorable Speaker, upon being laid before the County Assembly, the County Fiscal Standard Paper shall be deemed to have been committed to each sectoral committee without question put, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I have checked clear, Honorable Speaker, and I think Chairman is well confirmed, Honorable Speaker. No committee has given any recommendation, Honorable Speaker. They have not set and give recommendation to the Committee on Budget, giving some advice, Honorable Speaker. So we don't have any any member to move an amendment, Honorable Speaker, that we want to move an amendment, such an amendment, so that we can correct this mistake, Honorable Speaker. There is no amendment. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge members that this is a document that informs the budget, Honorable Speaker. And because we still have the challenge on the wage bill, Honorable Speaker, and this we must take it seriously, Honorable Speaker, on the issue of wage bill. We want to get the budget, Honorable Speaker, on that date. That's 1 month from now, Honorable Speaker, so that we can sit down as the members of this Honorable House and check whether the same has been reduced to the required wage bill as set by the law, Honorable Speaker. So I want to urge this House to support this recommendation by the Chair, Budget, and I want to call upon the Chair that the first thing we want to see in this Assembly, Honorable Speaker, after this independent institution have given the report on the issue of wage bill, Honorable Speaker, we want to see that the right amount of development, Honorable Speaker, is given to the people of Nandi. Otherwise, I support this recommendation by the Chairman.
Thank you, Leader of Majority. Now, I want to give this opportunity our Chair or the Chair Budget to give the rapid reply, maybe in 1 or 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I wish to thank honorable members for the contributions given to this motion. Honorable Speaker, I would like to make a few comments so that we can be able to proceed. Mr. Speaker, I have realized that from the discussions of this motion, I have realized that, and it is very important for me to give a clarity. What we have done is not allocations to various departments, but indeed it is the ceilings of the various departments. I think it should come out clear. It's actually not budget, because I've had members indicating that we've reduced the amounts in the various departments. So it's actually the ceilings first. The other comment that I would want to tackle is that on the issue of, there is the second recommendation raised by my friend Honorable Matata on the issue of Nandi Equitable Share Fund or Equitable Share Act. Remember, in just a month ago or a few weeks, we had an issue with the control of budget, Honorable Matata. Mr. Speaker, it seems that we are transiting from the various funds because the explanation that they gave, and we were forced to go back to address the issue on the Nandi Education Fund. They are now transiting from the issue of the fund account, from the fund to now scheme. That is why we gave a recommendation based on the facts and based on what we have at hand, so that we are not going to be turned back while we have already begun implementing the act. So that is why we gave that recommendation. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, is that there was a recommendation that we would have given specific firm to handle the audits. Mr. Speaker, we are all aware that we are charged by Public Finances Act. Now, the Public Finances Act stipulates that when you are giving any institution or when you are tendering anything to any institution, all are actually subjected to procurement procedures. And the Act stipulates, it is very clear that any other institution, we cannot just be able to do that, but we have to give quotations to various institutions. So we gave that recommendation so that it is upon the implementing agencies, which is the county government, to at least give the quotations and pick the right person as it is. So that is very clear, and it was very important that we do that. Now, on the CFSP, I had Honorable Member, Mr. Speaker, from Kaftumo, indicating that he really, and I know most of the members did expect it, that we have a very different format from what we used to have in terms of CFSP. Again, we are also guided. Remember this document, after our approval and adoption, it has to go to control of budget for approval. So the same, remember what development fund is not actually considered directly. So what we have done, an advisory from the finance department, is to align the development ceiling to various departments. Others will pick that directly, and you will be able to confirm that when it comes to the budget. The other thing on CFSP again is that, and I'm happy that the Honorable Leader of Majority has clarified this. Remember, when this document is tabled to the Assembly, it's not our document as a committee, but it becomes now the document to various committees. We actually requested, and it was indeed given by the Speaker, that it is now taken to various committees. So we expect recommendations from various committees so that we can be able to move forward. Indeed, as a committee, we did not receive any recommendation from any committee. And I think going forward, it is good to also have that as a good practice, so that whenever we receive, it is good we be able to handle whatever we have and collate all the figures and all in terms of the ceilings, so that we can be able to inform the House properly. So I want to now request, because we actually did not, unless we only had consultation with the Department of Health, because there was something that Honorable Ezra, the chairperson Health, did actually consulted in terms of on-source revenue. So let us all own it, honorable members, honorable chairpersons. It's not only honorable chair budget, but it's actually our own sole responsibility to cascade through so that we can have very clear and factual information. Otherwise, for all deliberations, we have actually gone through it, and we know that the animal in the room is actually wage bill, and we are all aware. So let's support whatever happens. Thereafter, it's very important for us to support. I gave a recommendation as a committee on the issue of implementation of the budget. Remember, our core mandate is to ensure that we are analyzing, we are also monitoring the express implementation of the budget. That is why it becomes the major recommendation for us. The only recommendation is it's not that we are aware that budget has never been implemented. No, it is at various stages of implementation, but we give as that as our core mandate. Otherwise, I want to thank you, honorable members, for the support of the motion. I now request that we proceed and adopt. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for that reply. Now, honorable members, I now put a question that this House adopt the report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the Nandi County Fiscal Strategy Paper, CFSB 2024, laid on the table of this House 2027 March 2024. Will as many of a similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, adjournment.
So, honorable members, being no any other business in the order paper, this House stands adjourned until Tuesday next week, 2:30 p.m.